Freaking New England winters. Everybody's always like, oh, you must be happy to move away from Minnesota because you got away from all that snow.
The heck do you mean?
Yeah, look at all the snow I got away from. Literally, there's like a 2-foot snowstorm every year in New England. We got this Saints playoff game coming up. And I'm making a little path here for the kids to sled down. Or my ex-wife comes and takes him to her boyfriend's house he's got like a mansion, of course. This whole, what's it called? Saints game. I feel like it's going to be one of the worst experiences of my life. My main issue is I hate Taysom Hill. I hate his Scooby-Doo, shaggy way he moves.
We're running, Scoob, but like we're not going anywhere.
I hate that he sucks, but because he's got a smart head coach, he's considered good. I just know Mike Zimmer is not going to have any plan for when they bring Taysom Hill in. And he's going to either get a touchdown pass or a touchdown run or touchdown reception or something, and it's going to have no bearing on the outcome of the game. The Saints are going to win regardless, whether Taysom Hill plays or not, but it's just going to make the loss that much more painful that Taysom frickin' Hill is going to be on like the highlights. So, I mean, you look at the last two games the Saints played that really meant anything to them. There was the 49ers game where the 49ers scored 48 points and the Saints scored 46. And then there was that, I think it was at Tennessee, where the Saints were down 14-0 and came back and won 38-28. What do you notice about both of those games? Very high scoring. So that's how you got to approach this if you're the Vikings. Mike Zimmer is going to approach it like, let's keep it low scoring. Let's possess the ball by running.
You can control the clock with the passing game.
And what that means is if you try to run with our offensive line, you're going to have 3 and outs, which means you don't possess the ball at all, sort of like the Green Bay game. So they're going to have a lot of 3 and outs because they're going to play their stupid chicken bleep offense that they've been playing the past 8 weeks or so instead of opening up like they need to.
The key is kind of being aggressive on 1st and 2nd down, not waiting till 3rd down to have Cousins drop straight back and get sacked automatically.
Michael Thomas is going to have a field day. Alvin Kamara is going to have a field day. Taysom Hill is going to have like 1 or 2 good plays, and they'll make it out like he's the second coming of Barack Obama. And there's a lot of questions. Oh, is Dalvin Cook going to be back healthy? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It just doesn't matter.
It makes no difference. When Mike Boone was in there, they were running fine. When Madison's in there, they run fine. When the offensive line can block, and when the offensive play calling allows them to run. I mean, what you notice about the Vikings, it always seems like the other team is one step ahead, thinking one step ahead. The Vikings are always behind. On defense or on offense, the Vikings just never seem to be able to put the other team off balance at all. Except in maybe a couple of those midseason games when they were rolling up the points.
If they call plays like they're scared, Cousins plays scared. If they call aggressive plays, Cousins tends to be more aggressive.
Sean Payton is going to have no trouble putting the Vikings off balance. Now, a couple things can happen in this game. It might be like that Saints-Titans game a couple weeks ago where maybe the Vikings jump out early, sort of how they did in the Seattle game. They played a great first half. And then the opposing coach makes adjustments. And
so Kirk Cousins gives them this huge lead, 24-3, and gee, what happened?
We have ourselves a game now.
Boom, it's like 24-0 run by the opposing team, and that puts the game away. It doesn't matter. If the Vikings jump out to a lead, Mike Zimmer, the Vikings are going to fall apart. That's just what they do. And really, the big difference, though, is mental toughness. That is about 90% of the difference between the Vikings and other teams. It's not physical. Vikings have as much physical ability, probably, other than on the offensive line, as the teams that they play, but they just don't have the mental toughness. The Vikings play well, and then something goes wrong, and they fall apart. Look at the Packers game. Completely fell apart. The Saints game last year, Thielen fumbles. The team completely falls apart. NFC Championship game, 2017, they fell apart. The other thing the Vikings don't have is they don't have a Michael Thomas. They don't have a George Kittle. They don't have one of these guys that the quarterback can always go to make a play. They just don't have that guy. Rudolph is way too slow. Diggs is not that reliable.
Diggs letting a ball go off his face mask for an interception, not looking to catch into his hands on 1st and 30.
Thielen is either hurt or not reliable enough. Cook's always hurt. They don't have that one guy that can bail them out. They can make that play whenever they need to. Kirk Cousins wants to make Laquan Treadwell that guy, I think, and that's his main problem.
So what do you do on 4th and 1 on the most important play of the game? Of course, you throw to Treadwell.
Even if we had a Michael Thomas or a George Kittle, Cousins would still be, he'd look at the read and say, oh, the defense is playing this, so I can't throw to George Kittle. I can't throw to Michael Thomas. I got to throw to Treadwell. I mean, that's what would happen. I mean, that's the problem. You got to let your great players win you games. You find a way to get your great players the ball. I just don't think Cousins is that type of guy. But Cousins is not going to be the reason they lose this game. It's going to be Mike Zimmer, his game plan, or lack thereof. Unless for whatever reason he just completely changes the way he's been having the offense call plays, the way he's shackled them the last 10 weeks or whatever. If they come out slinging it, they have a chance. But the bottom line is the Saints are going to play 60 minutes. And no matter how well the Vikings play for part of the game, they're going to play 30 to 45 good minutes and have 15 just horrible minutes. And that's going to decide it. So, I mean, if the Vikings come out with their, we're going to run the ball, establish the run, and control the clock, I could see them getting 3 or fewer first downs in the first half. Getting at most 3 points in the first half. And yeah, that's kind of how I could see it going. If they come out throwing the ball, it might be different. But they got to get the bootleg game going. I just don't see Zimmer allowing them to do that. He's going to want to control the clock, which means 3 plays and a punt. 3 plays and a punt. And that's how you control the clock, apparently. You have your defense on the field the whole game. The Vikings can magically get 3+ turnovers. Yeah, they got a shot, but that's a lot to ask in the playoffs. It's going to be a tough game to watch. I just hate Taysom Hill. I just hate him. My dream, I don't think the Vikings can win. Okay, so let's say the Vikings are going to lose. They're going to lose. I want Taysom Hill to have 2 lost fumbles, a couple of dropped, passes thrown his way that he drops, and have him throw like an interception on one of those like wildcat plays, and have him get like explosive diarrhea from the post-game meal. That's what I ask. That's my main thing. That's what I want.